Thanks for tuning into Houston Real Estate Radio, where we bring you guests and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. In a few minutes, we'll be answering your questions on the air. If you have a real estate question, you can always give us a call anytime at the number 281-882-8088. Anything we talk about on the show, you can always find on our website at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. We make videos of all the shows, and if there's a topic that you're interested in, you can always scroll through our previous shows, see if you can find some information on that. If not, call in, give us a call, and we'll certainly answer that on the show. Last segment, James and I were talking with Bill West, the author of The Garagenist Zone, and if you call in today, you may be eligible to receive a copy of that book. It's a fantastic book, great read. Our next guest is Mike Lesmeister of Ameripro Funding. He's been a lender for quite a while. I've worked with him for a while, and he's very good at what he does. If you're thinking about buying a property this year, any type of property, he is definitely the man to go to. Mike and his partner Rick are with Ameripro Funding, and we're really glad to have you on the show. You always bring us a lot of great information.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Mike, tell us about USDA loans. That's something that I've had on my mind lately to ask you about, and I know you've been on the show before, but I don't think you've ever talked about that one.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to bring up because that is probably the most overlooked program, both on behalf of home buyers and also in lenders, for that matter. You know, home buyers have heard of conventional loans, they've heard of FHA loans. If they have military service, they've heard of VA loans. But most people don't even know that the U.S. Department of Agriculture actually has a mortgage program that's available.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, a lot of lenders, unless they do business in rural areas, also either aren't aware of the program, or maybe don't do enough of those loans to really stay on top of how they work. Mm-hmm. But in a nutshell, the USDA developed a program that was designed to provide greater access to mortgage financing in rural areas. Mm-hmm. And they define rural areas as a rural community that has a population of 10,000 people or less, or a community that has a population of 20,000 or less if it's outside of what's called an MSA, or a metropolitan statistical area. Mm-hmm. So in our area, now most of Harris County does not kind of really count as a rural area, right? Mm-hmm. But a lot of the surrounding areas, there are some fringe areas of Harris County that do qualify, some areas of Brazoria, Montgomery, Fort Bend, et cetera, that do qualify for the program. And what's so great about the program, James, is that it, along with VA, are really the only two programs still out there that offer true no down payment financing, 100% financing.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's amazing for a lot of people. I mean, there's still, first-time home buyers, struggling to get that down payment together, and this is the type of program that few people know about, but it really is something that, you don't have to bring anything to the table, much to the table,
right,
to close on.
Exactly.
Yeah. What sort of restrictions are on it? I mean, can anybody do this loan as long as they're in that area, or are there other restrictions?
There are really two main restrictions with the program, Shannon. The first one, as we mentioned, is a geographic restriction. Mm-hmm. It has to be in an eligible area, a USDA eligible area. And it's very simple for a potential home buyer or a lender to evaluate whether a certain area qualifies or not. You can do a simple web search, type in USDA eligibility, mm-hmm. and it'll take you to the USDA's eligibility site.
So they have maps online.
Yeah, there's an interactive map that you can literally zoom right in and see. There's kind of the shaded areas or mm-hmm. the ineligible areas. Okay. And surprisingly, there are some well-known subdivisions in the Houston area and the fringes of these eligibility zones that can qualify for this financing.
I bet those people don't even know it.
Most of them don't, surprisingly. You're right.
They probably have conventional and FHA loans.
Yeah. So there's the geographic restriction. There's also an income restriction, but unlike a lot of traditional first-time homebuyer programs, things like that, they're much higher than many programs allow. So, for example, in our MSA, our metropolitan statistical area, which would be Houston, Baytown, Sugar Land, et cetera, mm-hmm. For a 1 to 4 person family, the income limit is $76,900. And for a family of more people, 5 or more people, it's $101,500. So you can really qualify for quite a bit of house under this program, even with those income limits.
So, how would you find out which parts of the Harris County or which areas of Brazoria or Fort Bend or whatever, Montgomery, are eligible for this geographically eligible for this type of loan?
Yeah, you could go directly to the website, or you could contact your lender, or if you have a real estate agent, you all are generally familiar with the program, so you know about the website too, you know about the program. You can contact their lender, their real estate agent, and kind of ask them what areas would be acceptable. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we have prospects that call us up. They say, look, I'm either looking to buy in this area, and we'll tell them that is an eligible area or it's not an eligible area. Or we may kind of make a recommendation to them that says, if you just kind of move your search north a little bit or west a little bit, you can actually get 100% financing.
Yeah. I've seen some signs, yard signs that say, 100% financing. Sometimes that's the program they're referring to. It just doesn't say that that's the program, but it says, this property eligible for 100% financing. So sometimes you'll see those on properties. Are there any costs associated with getting the USDA loans?
As with most mortgage loans, there are certainly closing costs and other fees involved. And as you're familiar, and most of your listeners are probably familiar, if they put less than 20% down on most programs, there's going to be mortgage insurance, whether that's a conventional loan, an FHA loan. VA calls it a funding fee. With the USDA, they have a similar structure. They call it a guarantee fee. And they charge an upfront 2% guarantee fee, which is charged at the time of closing. The great thing for the borrower, though, is that can be financed. It doesn't have to be paid out of pocket as a hard closing cost.
Oh, good. Just roll it into the loan.
Exactly. It can be rolled into the loan. And then in addition to that, they pay a 0.4% annual guarantee fee as well, which is taken out as part of their monthly payment, just as an annual mortgage insurance or monthly mortgage insurance premium would be taken out. And then your typical other closing costs still apply. You still have an appraisal. You still have title insurance. You still have survey. All the traditional costs involved in purchasing a home.
Well, what about seller contributions? Sometimes buyers sometimes we'll have buyers who need those seller contributions to help them be able to purchase the house that they want. Are you recommending those on USDA loans, or do they allow them?
They do. They allow up to a 6% seller contribution on a USDA loan, which is similar to FHA. So, just taking a simple example, if we had a $100,000 home, the sellers could provide assistance in the amount of $6,000 to cover the buyer's closing costs and what we also refer to as prepaids, which would be, for example, their first year's homeowner's insurance premium, the starting of their escrow account, and so forth. And so for a lot of these transactions, a borrower can get in. James, you mentioned
it could truly be a no money down deal.
They can truly get in for almost no money down.
Wow!
If you've
when
got
you consider those seller contributions,
a really lenient seller who wants to give you
exactly
6%, towards closing.
Yeah,
we call them motivated sellers.
That's right.
They want to sell.
So tell us what rates are doing now.
Rates are still very, very attractive. We had a little bit of a bump in rates right after the first of the year when the Federal Reserve came out with some comments. There was some speculation that they would start looking at a strategy that wasn't maybe so favorable to supporting low mortgage rates, and so rates started bumping up pretty quickly. We had a horrible day, if we consider rates going up a horrible day. We had a horrible day on January 3rd. Fortunately, they've started to come back a little bit, but we're still looking at rates. For many people, less than 4% interest rates, long-term 30-year fixed rates. Still, just an incredible time to purchase a home. Home affordability is still very, very attractive, as you know, although it's getting less attractive because, obviously the Houston area has had a pretty robust housing market over the last year. So prices are starting to go up. Mortgage rates, fortunately, are still very modest, so that affordability is still intact.
That's good. All right. Well, if you're thinking about purchasing any property this year, call Mike Lesmeister or his partner Rick. You can reach them at 832-286-1600. Give us your website, Mike, in case people want to go online and find you.
Absolutely. It's www.hlstx.com, or it's acronym for Home Loan Specialists Texas.
All right, fantastic, and we'll have that, of course, on our website as well.
And you can find out more about the USDA home loan at usda.gov. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio here on the 950 every Sunday and anytime on iTunes. Tweet us your questions and comments at Shannon Register or at James Brown TX. We'll be right back.